Welcome back to Turkish series Stars, the place where every whisper behind the curtain becomes a story you can feel in your bones. I've been buzzing to talk to you today, because what we're about to unravel has sent timelines spinning and group chats into overdrive. Sit down, turn up the volume, and breathe with me, because the windstorm swirling around Ozan Akbaba and Sinem Ünsal isn't just a rumor anymore. It's a wave, and it's crashing loudly across the entertainment world. If you're new to Turkish series Stars and you love staying close to the heartbeats of your favorite stars, stories that keep you daydreaming, and moments that make you hit replay, you're exactly where you need to be. Tap subscribe, ring that bell, and let us keep you in the front row of every reveal and every gasp. So, how did we get here? For months, traces seemed to glimmer, nothing blatant, nothing shouted, just those subtle threads that fans always notice before anyone else. A like timed just a little too perfectly. A comment that felt warmer than a neutral colleague would dare. A shared presence at an industry gathering where the camera caught something gentle, unspoken, yet unmistakable, humming between them. You know the energy I mean. It's that tiny spark that sets off 1,000 theories. And as those theories began to multiply, the internet didn't just watch, it participated. Suddenly, every interview snippet featuring Ozan's easy calm and Sinem's luminous poise was revisited like a treasure map. Clips were slowed down, captions were scrutinized, and those old red carpet photos found new life under a powerful, curious spotlight. Ozan Akbaba, commanding, charismatic, the man whose gaze alone can quiet a room. Sinem Ünsal, poised, bright, the kind of presence that makes you hold your breath because you don't want to miss even a second of what she's about to do. Separately, they've been adored, analyzed, and celebrated. Together? The idea alone seemed to rewrite the rules of what a screen partnership could look like off-screen. Fans had sensed it, a compatibility that didn't need words, a rhythm that felt both surprising and inevitable. But it was still, for the most part, a romance written in ellipses. Until the day the photo appeared. It didn't crash into the world like a scandal. There was nothing cruel about it, nothing that seemed taken with malice. It floated onto our screens with a stillness that was almost tender, Ozan and Sinem, wrapped in that quiet, private kind of joy, the kind that doesn't need to perform to be real. Their smiles didn't pose, they shared. Their posture didn't brag, it relaxed. And the way they leaned toward each other, like two notes in harmony, felt like the truth had finally decided to stretch and breathe in the open air. People didn't scream at first, they paused. Then came the storm. Feeds filled, comments multiplied, edits exploded across platforms, and that one image kept being reshared with stunned exclamation points and soft-hearted messages. Some fans reacted as if a long-held wish had finally been granted, like watching a scene you'd always wanted to exist become reality. Others were taken aback, not in anger, but in the amazed way you feel when a story suddenly jumps to the next chapter without warning. You could feel the internet agreeing on at least one thing: this didn't look like a rumor. It felt like a moment. It felt like the kind of glance that turns into a decision, the kind of decision that becomes a life. Let's be honest, when two people who are both so deeply loved, both so intensely watched, choose to stand close, the world leans in. Industry insiders began hinting that the signs were there all along, hidden in plain sight. Old interview answers about someone who understands the rhythm of my work were suddenly stitched into theories. Behind-the-scenes footage from joint appearances took on fresh meaning. The glow around them started to look less like coincidence and more like a promise quietly kept. And yet, even as the volume rose, there was a hush around the edges, a sense that what we were seeing was tender and deserved care. Because this is the tightrope, isn't it? Ozan and Sinem know the push and pull of attention better than anyone. They know the way admiration can feel like a shelter one day and a spotlight the next. Still, if that photo is any indication, they've chosen to share at least a glimpse, and the public has responded with a fusion of giddy celebration and reverent curiosity. The conversation hasn't been just about whether it's true. It's been about how right it looks. About how their energies seem to meet in the middle and settle there, comfortably. From the first second that image began to circulate, fans began crafting narratives with careful tenderness. The imagined first coffee after a long day of filming, the quiet jokes traded in a hallway, that electric awareness when a shared laugh goes on longer than it should. People began to remember interviews where Ozan spoke about valuing trust above spectacle, and how Sinem often mentions kindness as her favorite trait. Suddenly, all those puzzle pieces, which once looked like harmless shards of possibility, clicked together with satisfying finality. Comment sections filled with lines that could have been lifted from a romance script, except this time it was reality spinning itself. Of course, the press followed. Reputable outlets reached out for confirmations. Entertainment programs replayed scenes in montage, tracking eye lines and smiles. Analysts weighed in on what a public relationship might mean for future projects, for brand partnerships, for the entire arc of their careers. And while all of that hums loudly in the background, there is another sound layered beneath it, the human heartbeat of a story about two people choosing one another. Because that's what audiences most want to witness, not just a headline, but a feeling they can believe in. For those who were startled, the surprise makes sense. Ozan and Sinem have always moved with a level of grace in their private lives. They keep the spotlight on their craft. They show up when it matters. They disappear when it's time to be real. Maybe that's part of why this moment is hitting as hard as it is. It feels like we were given a rare window into the place where performance ends and life begins. It reveals without exploiting. It invites without demanding. It's intimate without being invasive. What happens next? That's the question humming like a chorus everywhere you look. Will there be a heartfelt statement? A quiet confirmation at an event? Or the choice to say nothing at all, letting the silence affirm what words would only underline? Either way, the path from here will be delicate. Public love can be beautiful and heavy at once, especially when every day can turn into a headline. Yet there's also a gift buried in all this attention. An audience ready to cheer for two people they've admired for years, now possibly admiring them together. The magnitude of the reaction says something powerful about the times we live in. A single captured moment can leave millions blinking, smiling, and arguing in equal measure. But look closer and you'll see something gentler, a gathering of strangers who, for a fleeting stretch of time, are sharing the same feeling. Love stories do that, especially when they brush against reality so convincingly that we can't help but feel them reflected inside our own lives. Ozan's grounded strength and Sinem's luminous warmth are a pairing that seems to make emotional sense. Their public personas already dovetail, their rumored private connection simply turns the volume up on a melody that was already there. Still, there's a boundary here that must be honored. They are artists, yes, but they are also people. They deserve room to breathe in this new chapter, if this is indeed the chapter we think it is. The cheers matter, and so does the quiet. The attention can be a standing ovation, but it should not be a demand. Let the story unfold at the pace they choose. Let the joy belong to them first. Support doesn't have to be loud to be loyal. And make no mistake, the industry is watching. Projects will be pitched with stars in their eyes, campaigns will daydream about the magic of a shared appearance, and scripts will wonder how to harness an energy that now feels both cinematic and real. But even as those wheels turn, none of that is the headline right now. The headline is the way we all leaned in when one photo arrived and somehow made the world feel smaller and kinder for a moment. The headline is the soft certainty in their eyes, the easy closeness that doesn't have to convince because it simply is. If there's an official word ahead, we'll be here for it, thoughtful, excited, respectful. If there's a decision to keep this delicate and unspoken, we'll be here for that too, celebrating the work that brought them into our lives and the humanity that keeps us rooting for them. And while the talk swirls on, remember this, stories like this don't just entertain us. They gather us. They remind us that we still get goosebumps when we see something true. They remind us that between spotlight and privacy, there can be a middle place, a place where two people smile and we simply, gratefully, smile back. Thank you for being here with Turkish series stars in the middle of a moment that already feels iconic. Tell us what you felt when you saw that photo. Were you shocked, thrilled, quietly certain all along? Do you think Ozan and Sinem are stepping into something lasting, something that will grow stronger in the sunlight? Share your thoughts below, you know we read everything. If this story kept your pulse up and your hopes high, give this video a like, send it to a friend who needs a good gasp today, and make sure you're subscribed so you won't miss what comes next. Because whether the next chapter arrives as a whispered confirmation or a radiant public debut, one thing is crystal clear. The world is watching, hearts open, ready for wherever Ozan Akbaba and Sinem Ünsal choose to go from here. And until that next breathless turn, we'll keep watching with you, steady, kind, and just a little bit starry-eyed, right here at Turkish Series Stars, where every glance might be the beginning and every beginning feels like a promise.